I'm gonna play this music.
Oh,
We
yes.
is live. Yes.
What's up? What's up? Hey, guys. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're enjoying this beautiful Monday. Welcome to the Love and Pain podcast, where the Love Doctor and I talk about love, relationships, and everything in between. I'm your resident single lady advisor, Pain, who is an experienced single lady on a quest for balance. And this is the Love Doctor. Take it away, Chuck.
What's happening, everybody? I just want to say that, hey, the key to life is happiness. And wherever you are in life, and don't ever try to live up to people's expectations. Don't be scared to be better either. On here we talk about relationships a lot, and relationships can be scary because it's always scary when you give somebody else any type of power to have any type of control over your life, or someone that you give the power to hurt you. But you don't want to be scared because you'll stagnate. And like I said, we are meant to be together and to have someone. And this has been going on since the beginning of time. But here in America, we're being programmed to be independent and basically it's independent of a relationship. So come on, y'all, let's figure this out together.
Oh, look at that. Look at us coming together. Okay. Well, awesome. If you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe and please hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all the new content we release. How's it going, Chuck?
Oh, everything's going good. Everything's going good. How you doing?
Is everything?
Huh? What'd you say?
Everything is everything.
Yeah, everything's everything. Just trying to, make a couple little moves here and there. But other than that, I mean, everything. I'm doing okay.
Okay. How was your weekend? What you get into?
You know what? It's funny because the NBA playoffs started, so I just basically just watched some NBA games amongst other things. But that's basically it. It's sports season. It's NBA basketball. So I just sat down, watch some basketball and things like that, and and just enjoy myself. I made me some lasagna. My lasagna is banging. Just to let y'all know, I'm cooked. All right, made me some lasagna.
All right.
So, just cooked a little something, just chilled out. The weather's starting to tick up here a little bit. Like right now, it's in the mid 90s. So yeah, it ticks up pretty fast here. You know what I'm saying? But it's low humidity. Like I said, the Southwest weather, like I said, it's low humidity. So, our 94 feels like probably like Columbus is 80. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because it's, humidity is below. I looked at the, the weather thing that we got by the pool. And it's only, the humidity is like at like 8%. So it's not no humidity at all right now.
And you guys don't really have humidity year round, just like very low?
Yeah, it's always pretty much low unless, you do go through some periods. Like I said, when you're in the desert, man, it's like, it's different. Like windstorms come through and it's like no rain, because you're in the desert. So it's like dry, but it's a constant wind that comes through. And since, like I said, in Vegas, it's actually in a valley. I mean, there's nothing that obstructs the wind. It just comes right over the mountains and it's just a constant flow. You know what I'm saying? Whereas it's more gusty in the Midwest. But here it's like when fronts come through, it's straight, it's just coming. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's normally like a weather system or whatever. But a lot of times it's without, any rain. But like I said, we get 300 days of sunshine here, which is a plus. I love it.
Gosh, yeah. Because there's like 300 days in a year, so that's a lot of days of sun. 65, right. 65. I said that, yeah. So there's there's about 300 of those years. So that's solid, man. I was just out there. I love it out there in the Southwest. Like it has my heart.
I heard that. I'm telling you, hey, it ain't nothing like it ain't like no other. Because like I said, in Florida, it's like humid. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, and then all them bugs and stuff. Nah.
Yeah.
Out here, like, you got desert stuff, but you ain't got them critters like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's different. It's like this big.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
They're like regular. Like it's not like here, if you have cockroaches, it means you kind of like you're nasty. But down there, it's just regular everyday life.
Right. Yeah, you got to be careful with that. I mean, they do got roaches out here in the desert. Don't get it twisted. They're more like, they're not like the German cockroaches that they have in the Midwest, but they're like the desert type roaches where, like, I mean, they come out like gangbusters, bro. Like they coming out like swarming. It's the desert, so it has to be a more of an aggressive attitude when it comes to when they coming out. So yeah, you got to be prepared for that. You got to keep spraying every month and just make sure that you on point with your stuff. Trust me, it's I had to adjust to a couple things out here, and you got to watch out for, because for something to survive out in these harsh conditions, they're very resilient. Even like the gnats, they will come out and they were like, I'm telling you, they coming out in swarms on you, and they coming out any carbon dioxide that they see. So yeah, it's different.
Oh my! First of all, shout out to you for knowing that there's different breeds of cockroaches. I didn't know that. I just know if it's scurries, I don't want that in my life. I got so shout out to you. What's us? Well, this weekend I was in San Diego. I was in San Diego last week. That's what you saw. It was a great time.
Okay.
It was a blast. I got to meet so many different people, from everybody from California. So they were really shocked that I was from Ohio. So I was kind of like the foreigner in San Diego. I had that Midwestern charm,
Right. So, hey, I'm telling you, come up on something big. Look, the further you go away from where you originate, the more valuable you are. You're different out here. That's what I'm saying. It's a different total attitude what people have out here. You know what I'm saying? When you travel, you see that type of thing. Like, for real, you from Ohio? It's something different.
Yeah, I was popular. You had me feeling myself, and then I came back to Columbus, where nobody fucking knows me. It's just like, I'm back in this place. Hey guys. But it was very nice. I did pick up some type of sinus issue, but that always happens when I fly. Like when I fly on an airplane, because it's like a big old petri dish. And it was like tons of kids. I flew with kids both ways, and kids always get me sick. That's why I don't hang out with kids, because they're always trying to gang bang with me, disease, germ warfare. Right. So I do have a little sickness going on. So if you guys hear me dying, just roll with it. Just roll with it. What's going on in the news?
Okay, now listen.
Okay.
If y'all haven't seen it, and one of the things I did do this weekend too, is I watched a couple of biopics. Okay. Ooh. Now, I watched two of them. I watched the Priscilla one and I watched the Bob Marley one. Now, in these biopics, and I'm starting not to like biopics because they be capping the whole time on there. Like, all right, in the Priscilla biopic, Priscilla.
Now, real quick, I'm sorry. Who's Priscilla?
Priscilla Presley. That's Elvis Presley's wife. Right.
She got a movie?
She got it's called Priscilla. It's her story and how she met Elvis and, how their relationship formed and all that. Okay. Now remember, Elvis was like R. Kelly before R. Kelly. Trust me. Okay. And like I said, she was lying the whole time. She capping. Now he met her overseas while he was in the army. Some dude actually picked her out when she was at a diner, and that was probably one of Elvis Presley's recruiters. You know what I'm saying? Because they got people to go out and search the girls, and you know what I'm saying? That's their wingman. So she was only 14 years old, and so Elvis invited her over to one of the little parties because he was, because back then, when you were a superstar, you didn't have to actually go to war. You actually, you just performed for him. You know what I'm saying? Like Elvis would do some concerts. Joe Louis and them would have an exhibition boxing things and things like that. But he was just performing. But anyway, so Elvis Presley, he linked up with her when she was 14. She made it seem like they didn't even have sex until they got married at 21. And he invited her out of town and all that. These biopics, man, they be capping.
So you think she had sex with them earlier?
Yeah. Are you kidding me? Yes.
It was like the older days. They were more restrictive.
Man, come on. They were spending the night together, and he was like, no, it's not the right time. And she's lying, man. Stop playing. That shit pisses me off, man. Just tell the truth. Like I said, things were more lax like that with people dating younger women back then anyway. So you ain't got to lie like that. The laws have changed, but back then, some people were getting married at younger ages. My grandma got married, and we talking about grandparents today, but my grandma on my dad's side got married when she was like 15, 16.
How old was her husband?
He might have been like 5 years older than her. He might have been like 20, 21 or something like that. Just out the army, whatever the case may be. But it's different. But yeah, that biopic, and then I watched the Bob Marley biopic. and it just made Bob Marley look like he was just Jesus. He ain't do nothing wrong. He was just a man. So nice. I'm like, bro, tell the truth, man. I mean, this ain't nobody perfect, but when they have it to where they actually tell their own story, they be lying. They leave out all the other stuff. Bob Marley had a whole bunch of different kids and all that, and that, like I said, they just showed it like this dude was like, I'm telling, he was like Jesus, like straight up. So I mean,
yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of threw me. I'm kind of done with biopics, man, because they be lying.
Yeah, they do take like a what's it called, like creative artistic approach to it,
right?
So I mean, even
they can veto stuff.
Yeah, right. They have to create that drama so that you'll watch it. Because if it's just like, if you did a documentary of my life, it would be boring as heck. Like you gotta add some drama, like, and she stabbed somebody when she was 7 years old, just so to keep people watching it. So I feel you on that. I feel you. Those are two biopics I definitely was not going to watch at all. I just prefer to read. Like I'll do a documentary, but I always go and read after I watch a movie or a documentary, because I know it's like there's some lies and propaganda involved with it. So you always got to take that second round. But this in my news, so I've got two things going on, right?
Okay.
So the first one is Chris Brown. Hey, Charmaine.
What up? What up, sis?
Thank you for joining. So, Chris Brown, he released a diss track against Quavo. Everyone's been going mad about this diss track. And I have to say, it's pretty nasty. Like he's nasty. Like Chris is ready to dance and throw some hands. It's that he says a part of where he went to New York Fashion Week and he had sat next to Quavo and he was mad. And then someone went to go show the picture of him sitting next to Quavo during Fashion Week, and he was mad. I was like,
what?
Yeah. So I don't even, I don't really get into celebrity beef and drama because, I don't know those people. And, sometimes I know it's for show. Like they're like, hey, we got to get some things happening. I'm about to start something. But I just don't know how Quavo can come back, because he never really seemed to be like that great of a rapper to me. But I'm also not a rap, influence. So that's one thing I follow. The other thing, so, I do true crime. I have a YouTube channel, Champagne Crime Thoughts, and I do true crime. And this week, so I've been following this case for 2 years. And it was a little girl. She was 5 years old. Her name was Kamari. She went missing. Her mom called the police, was like, hey, my daughter's missing. Everybody's like, oh, snap, she's missing. They're searching for her. Within 24 hours, they discover that this guy who was a drug dealer, his name is Jeremy, he kidnapped her, and he essayed her, and he ended up killing her. And the jerk put it on video camera on the cell phone, because that's what lower intelligent people do. They videotape crime. So they were able to catch him. But the hook is her mom sold the baby to the dude for $2,500.
Wow.
And he didn't even give her the money first. Like, she is a horrible prostitute. A horrible prostitute. So that's what I'll be covering later. But yeah, that's protect these babies out here, man. You can't have anyone around your kids. We gotta be careful who we choose to lay down with and who we choose to let around our kids, which kind of brings us to our relationship topic today, right? Kids, grandparents, boom. Why aren't relationships lasting? Let's go, Chuck. What you got?
All right, y'all. Let's get into today's topic.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, y'all, there's nothing like going to your grandparents' house, and especially back in the day, and how your grandparents would treat you. They would sit you down. They would give you all that positive reinforcement energy. Even if you were ugly, they're gonna tell you that you're cute. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna sit you down and feed you and everything. Like it was nothing like going to our grandparents' house and just having a good time. But nowadays, grandparents are considered they're dinosaurs now. You don't really get that anymore. Because we're gonna get to the root cause of that. Now remember, what's up, Garfield? Let's say that before I get started. Okay. Now remember, since we were free from slavery, the Black community remained basically the same for 100 years. We were in a struggle to come off of our slavery piece, and we were trying to get more out of life, by working and whatnot, and try to work in this white man's world, basically. Okay. Now remember, we didn't have basic human rights back then. we were only considered 3/5 of a person. So all we had was each other. We had, our women and our men. That's all we had was our community. Nobody else was supporting us. If we didn't get support from our family, we weren't going to get it anywhere because we were being oppressed. Now, it wasn't until the civil rights movement to where cultural changes started to happen. And at the same time, the feminist movement also came into play because we had a common enemy, which was white racist men. Okay. And they were not only racist, they were sexist. And in large part, not only were they oppressing Black people, they were also oppressing their women as well. And they also created the term that women should be barefoot and pregnant. I mean, this was like a standard thing back in the day. White women were very oppressed. So when they started seeing the civil rights movement, they actually jumped onto that bandwagon and they did get a lot of things off. Okay. Now, when the civil rights movement came, the thing that started to change was in the 1970s. Now, remember, we had a lot of leadership and things like that. Women started going to college in the 1960s. They started being aware of what was going on. They were starting to actually, get ahead on their education and whatnot. So in 1970s, remember, well, it was actually in the 1960s, the Vietnam War started. And when the Vietnam War started, it sent a lot of veterans overseas. And when they came back, a lot of them, they were addicts, but they also pacified them with government jobs. Okay. And when they came back, they had government jobs and whatnot. And the feminist movement was going on. And not only that, in the 1970s, we started getting the blaxploitation films. And remember, films are normally art imitating life. And back then, remember, we went from like a standard family structure until we went to the blaxploitation films, which had a lot of pimp movies, the Mac, Willie Dynamite, Superfly. And these were guys, you remember, when Black men, when kids are younger and you see in these movies, you're very impressionable. And when you see this, where this guy is cool, he's not married, he's actually dogging women and he's pimping on these women, then that became the mentality of the 70s. So, even like, my own dad, my dad had a pimp mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like he raised me up to not love these hoes, never have any feelings. Like, I mean, he raised a monster when I was younger and I seen it. And this was the beginning of the end for how relationship standards started from after slavery. So we started, things started looking different. You had books that came out like Pimp, by Fillmore Slim. You had the Donald Goines books. Our minds were being reprogrammed to not think about community and building, but it was thinking about just pimping on these hoes and getting ours. And women, y'all had y'all's blaxploitation films too. You look at like Jackie Foxy Brown and things like that. She was a superwoman. You know what I'm saying? And she actually controlled men with her sexuality. She had her titties out. You know what I'm saying? And she was what considered, like I said, she knew how to use her body as a weapon. And that's the mentality that started going on. And that was the beginning of, and that's just one point of how we started to change our mentality from family. And then we started doing all this old fuck shit that we doing.
So a lot of our surroundings is what contributed to our decline of why grandma and grandpa aren't together anymore. Is that your
because remember, it starts with the mind first. You know what I'm saying? Like we was family oriented back in the 60s. So when the 70s came on, it was a whole revolution that came on. When you seen those movies, those type of movies wasn't out in the 60s, But what other community has movies that come out where the man is just dogging the woman, and this is what, like I said, what we've seen, and this is how we started living our life. And just, like I said, it starts in the mind first. And like I said, it was art imitating life. And things just started changing in the 1970s. That was like the beginning of, of the end for us, how it used to be.
Do you feel like prior to the 1960s, 1970s, people who were in these marriages, they were happy or they were there out of necessity?
Well, see, this is the thing about that. Remember, Marriage is an institution. It was not about individual happiness. It was about making a way for the next generation to succeed and for them to do better than you did. So it wasn't about my happiness. I mean, like I said, my grandfather walked 5 miles a day to his job every day. And you know, they lived poor, but he tried to make a way so my dad and them could have a better life, you know, going forward. And that's what you had to do back then. Now, remember, there was a lot of like, he was angry all the time because he had to do it, and you almost like you're in jail because this is something that you had to do. But it was not about happiness. It was about making sure your kids were safe and that they had better opportunities than you did. But nowadays, if you look on social media today, man, shit, grandmas is out here, man, y'all busting down. Look at what's her name? Erykah Badu. Like, man, come on, man. She busting down butt naked, and she 50. That was unheard of back then.
She loves her body.
Yeah, she loves her body, but why did
and she's not married?
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. She's not married, and she's showing her body. So that means it's all about her. You see what I'm saying? It's not about family.
No, that's
is that family?
All the same
is
thing.
that family? Is it family?
Showing your body means that you're not about your family. How? Like, what? How do you connect those two?
Because listen to me. For one, like I said, she's not married, so she's out still trying to manipulate with her body and you know and attracting people to look at her in that manner. You didn't have this. Like I said, this is the norm now. This was not going on back in the 1960s and stuff. That's what I'm trying to tell you. When Foxy Brown and all them, they set the standard, and now everybody y'all trying to manipulate with y'all's body, and that's the truth. You know that's what's happening.
That's not what's happening. First of all, women we like our bodies. Like to be, you guys walk around shirtless all the time. We're not like, you gotta keep your shirt on because women are going to lose their minds. Like you guys don't get that. We're the one who's told, hey, you guys got to make sure you guys fall in line because y'all going to drive the men crazy. Y'all don't have to worry about that. She likes who she is. She likes the way she looks. She likes the share the way she looks. There's nothing wrong with that. Men have always liked looking at beautiful women. Look at Josephine Baker. She was a French-American dancer, like what, in the 1920s, 1930s? She was up here doing banana dance. Guys gravitated to her. There's always been women who are sensual, shoulder body in all countries. Even look at Hawaiian people when they do the dance that's been around for centuries. They are half naked, shaking and doing these dances, celebrating femininity. Like that's just been humans. Humans like the human body. I don't think it has anything to do with the degradation of the family. Nah, go ahead. I'm listening.
So I'm just saying. Now remember, I just told you we went through a revolution.
Yeah.
Where was a grandma at 50 years old busting down like that back in the 1960s.
The grandmas didn't look like her. I'm sure if they looked like her.
They had bodies under there. They probably had better bodies back then.
Man, you don't see people doing those pictures of like you were 30 in the 1980s compared to how you look 30 in the 2000s. They don't look the same.
Exactly.
They're looking like that.
They still acting like they dressed up, going to the club, busting down, wearing what college and teenagers are wearing. Like, I mean, there's no difference. Like, women, y'all wearing see-through net stuff. I mean, butt naked, and all you can see is your thong under there. Like, is that something that somebody would look at as being a wife? Because, like I said, that's the type of look that doesn't work in situations because you out here butt naked, and your man don't want you to be showing all your goods like that unless he's trying to show you off. Which, you know what I'm saying? I mean, what is that?
There's some men who like it. There's a man who said, don't date a bad bitch if you can't handle her being a bad bitch.
That's not a bad.
Like if you have an issue of dudes looking at your chick, date you a regular old girl who's covered up. And you know what? And y'all get those women. Derek Jackson had himself a woman of God covered from head to toe, dressed from head to toe. He's still out here skeeting all over the club. He's still out here messing with other chicks. So I can't say that.
So wait a minute. So in other words, you're saying to be a baddie, you need to be half naked out here. That's the only way. You can't have no sophistication in the way you dress. You got to dress like you damn near a stripper. Is that what you're saying?
There are some baddies who will dress like a stripper, and there are some baddies who are dressed modestly from head to toe. But I know in both situations, both of those baddies will still get cheated on. So is it so that them dressing seductively is the reason why marriages are failing, or people having kids out of wedlock contributing to additional stretch to the family? Is that being an issue? Because she could dress all the way up and still get cheated on. She could dress like a slut and still get cheated on. So why not do what makes her feel great?
But see, like I said, this is the type of attitude that I'm saying. When you are a wife, you dress the part. Like you don't show your goods like that. Like I said, if y'all out here in the clubbing and that's what y'all do, like I said, it's not a monolithic society. I see what you're saying on that part, but I'm just saying, as an average guy, when you see somebody dressing half naked, you might want to hit that, but you ain't looking at that as wifey. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you from experience. Like I said, y'all hard-headed. Y'all don't listen. I'm just saying, when you busting down, showing your cheeks, we might want to hit it, but this is not somebody that we think of as being a wife, because that is like you're butt naked. Like who wants? Like I said, you looking like a prostitute out here, man, and it's not a good look.
I think they're just tired. It's a revolution. You have to realize that, like, is she looking for a husband? You got a lot of women who dated. You know, I have some of my married friends, and they've been married for years. Married women. And I'm sure married men say this as well. But you have women who have been married, and they've been married for years, and they even have a really good mate, and they're like, you know what? I don't think I would ever do this marriage thing again. So I think that if you're not really looking to be with a man, if you're not really looking to be married, what does she need to be married for? She already has kids. What will marriage do for her at this point?
See, that's what I'm saying. This is the modern mentality that we're talking about right here. Now listen, listen, there's reasons why certain cultures have protocols when it comes to this type of dress. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, in any other culture except for European culture, you know what I'm saying? And of course, you know, there's some Asian cultures that might be like that or whatever, but they treat their women. Look, you guys have wonderful bodies, but you're disrespecting yourself. Like you're devaluing it by showing it. Like for me, like I said, certain cultures, they cover themselves. They look respectful. Our grandmothers, for the most part, were dressing respectful. They weren't out here with their cheeks out. You know what I'm saying? This is part of the reason why people don't stay married. Now, like I said, you put your cheeks out there, more people are going to try to holler at you. You know what I'm saying? It's just not a good look for your man. It's kind of disrespectful. You got to have respect for the relationship than going out here butt naked. And I'm just saying, like I said, these are real issues. Like y'all really think that this stuff is cute. And like I said, you'll get attention, but this is not marrying material. You might trap somebody, but bro, we ain't looking at that as no settling down piece. Trust me.
So you're saying tribes out here with black women whose breasts are completely out. So they're classless. They're what? What is the hang up on showing your body so much? Americans have such a hang up, which is really weird. We have such a hang up on conservatism and being clothed all the way from head to toe. You go to another country, they don't have a hang up like us. They have nudist beach. They don't have such a hang up.
Yeah, that's European. Right, you're right.
Africa. If you go to Africa, they have tribes, multiple tribes, the Galeb tribes, multiple tribes where the women are just out here topless. They don't even wear shirts. They got tits out. That's right.
Remember, you're talking about tribes in old bush Africa where people are uncivilized in these tribes.
Where we came from. So we came from
but wait, back up. We didn't come from bone in our nose. We came from pyramids. We built this society. We were scientists. Yes, we did. You think we just came from the woods and we had bones in our nose back then?
No. First of all, I don't know why
you're getting the wrong history. That's not true. What are you talking about?
I don't know why you're talking about.
We built the pyramids. We didn't come from the bush. Come on now. That's just the image that they show you.
Not all of us. Africa is such a vast continent. Everybody didn't come from Egypt. Pyramids are not located all over Africa. All of us black people, we came from different tribes. A lot of it came from the tip of Nigeria, which is nowhere near Egypt that has pyramids. So some of us may have been in Egypt. Some of us may have been Moors, but not all of us. And we don't know which one is which. But we do know.
Where did the original man come from? And we did not originate in the bush. We originated when we built society. People rebelled and went out into the bush. But that is not where we came from. That is not the image that that should be, that's not where we came from. We were smart. We were the original people on this planet. So Africa is big, but people did rebel from society, and you out butt naked. That's a rebelliousness, because we were much greater than that. I'm not going to sum up all of Africa just based on people out here butt naked with their titties out. I'm sorry, because that's not.
But there's many groups of them, but I don't think that's the reason why marriages aren't just because men don't like that's controlling as hell. First of all,
it's not.
We don't want y'all to cheat, but y'all still do. That's crazier to relationships.
All I'm saying is things started changing in the 1970s. Now
and
you brought apart, you put out pieces where entertainers were butt naked overseas and this and that, for Showtime. But if you look at the rank and file black family before the 1970s, grandmothers were not out here showing their ass like they doing right now. These women out here, y'all are out of control. And like I said, showing your bodies out there, all you're doing is insinuating a sexual nature in a man. It is. If you're denying that, like, come on, stop it, man. It is. If you're showing your ass, it is actually you're insinuating a sexual response from someone. Showing your behind. Come on.
You can't just like your body. Just because
it had nothing to do with liking your body. I'm just saying you're being looked at as a sexual object.
That ain't got nothing to do with me.
And that's before they know. They just want to have sex with you. If that's how you want to look, then you do it. But that's why that's why marriages aren't working. I'm just telling you.
That is not why marriages aren't working.
Yes, it is. That's part of the reason.
One of the things you said is that women are becoming more educated, right? Women are becoming more educated than black men. People are more likely to get married if they have a higher rate of education. If they're higher educated, they're more likely to get married. That's a fact. That's a stat.
No, it's based on your economics. If a man is making money, he is more likely to get married than a man that doesn't have money. It ain't got nothing to do with education.
It does have education. Hold on. First of all,
no.
it does have
most black women that go to college don't want to get married. Y'all feminists.
People who go to college, their relationships last longer than those who are uneducated. That is a fact. It is a study. Let's tie the two up. So if they're more educated, then that means that the man is generally going to make more money than a person that's not educated. Is that right? Correct.
Okay. So that's why I say it's more of an education, it's more of an economic thing than just education. Yeah, if you're successful and you're making good money, then of course, everybody want to be on a winning team. If we making good money, then we ain't struggling. But if you're struggling to get jobs and things like that, then you're not going to get married. That's common fact. If you're not making any money, it's not going to work.
If you have a stable employment and you have higher level of education, right? And a higher level of education does not always mean more money. It's more money than someone who doesn't have a degree. But teachers, they don't make a lot of money. It's right. A street dude can make a lot of money, but he's not educated. Street dudes make a lot of good money, but they're not educated. So it goes hand in hand.
Street dudes get married too. So what is y'all talking about? Like, it's like you got so many like stereotypes. You speaking so many stereotypes. You ain't speaking fact. The fact is, it's a natural thing. If I can take care of my family, then I'm gonna get married. If I can't afford it, then it's hard. Y'all, the way y'all talk, you already even said it. If he ain't making this much money, I ain't trying to be with him. What are the $20,000 a year women going to do? If he got money, then he'll have more of a chance.
Money is a part of it. Money is a part of it.
But it ain't because of the education.
It is a part of the education. I can't date somebody who's not educated. It's hard to have that conversation when you date somebody who's not on the same level as education as you.
Okay, you define what education is. Is that just college educated, or would you define that, please?
I do find college educated men more attractive, but education is a broader span of that. Do you have a trade? Did you go and do after school trade? Did you go to Columbus State to do a 2-year? Someone says, where he at? Put this dude on line. It's education is also, it could be a formal education, but it's a higher level education.
Okay. So you saying trades and things like that. Right?
Yeah, okay.
That's a trade. Okay. We saying the same thing then. When you having a trade, it ain't necessarily a college education, but when you when you educate yourself to learn more and to get a better employment, that's when, okay, so we're talking about the same thing. Okay, let's move on to the next topic because you tripping.
We are not talking the same thing. Go ahead, move to. And first of all, a couple one says, just a couple comments. So Eliza says, not co-signing. Grandma still got cheated on though. Gina says, street men make good money. They not getting married. I know, street men. I don't know.
What are y'all talking about? Y'all are tripping. Yes, I know a lot of street dudes that's married. What is y'all talking about?
Nah,
y'all are just stereotyping and y'all putting a blanket over the whole thing. Are you kidding me? I know dudes that was in the streets that's married and they the most faithful dudes. They just had to find a way to hustle in the streets to make ends meet. But they loyal dudes. The street dudes y'all talking to ain't loyal. That's all. I know a lot of men that are married that are street dudes.
Would you say you're a street dude, Chuck?
I mean, okay, I'll tell you this. I'm not necessarily a street dude that actually went out here and sold drugs, but I found a different way in the streets to make money by educating myself, with computers and things like that. So, I had to get it out in the streets because I was unemployable because I did have a record, but I learned that I did my grind a different way. You know what I'm saying? And it was just because I had the intelligence to do so. A lot of people do not. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So I mean, in a certain way, I am, but I just didn't sell drugs. So let's just say that.
Okay. So all my family, or the majority of the men in my family, are street dudes. I can count on one hand how many are actually married. So I wish we had a way to tell.
Listen,
I wish we had a way.
This is the thing. So, but what you're saying is like, it's not, what I'm saying? Like society as a whole don't get married like that anyway. So
no, we
don't put that on just street dudes, because I know a lot of street guys who got married. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, like I said, if you out here in the streets and you see what type of stuff is out here, it ain't nothing. So if you find you a quality person, you're going to respect that. Some of these people that aren't street dudes that don't have, like, they might have been in the books for all that time and then they finally get out and they start, like mingling with women. They square on women. So they don't even know how it goes. They out here trying to be Mr. Nice Guy and being square and they don't respect it. So yeah.
Are you talking about dudes who get out of prison?
No, I'm talking about dudes in general.
Oh,
not street dudes, but guys that might have just went to college and not had relationship experience and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I think, like I said, y'all stereotyping a lot of different things, and a lot of stuff ain't true because I know for a fact. You know what I'm saying?
I know for a fact too, because I've experienced. You're going off of experience. Not only am I going off of experience, I'm also going after facts.
What?
Two of these things, but keep going off of your thing. Let's go. Wild.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, another thing is, like I said, women and men, we don't have basic fundamental ways of how to run a household for the most part. If you haven't seen it, then it's hard to do it unless you've been through that and seen a family struggle, men and women having a power sharing situation in the household. If you haven't seen it, then it's really hard to do it because you're reinventing the wheel. I was just lucky to see my dad, like I said, at a younger age. I seen how he ran the household. Now, like I said, my dad had a messed up mentality, which he gave me at a young man. And I had to go through the trials and tribulations before I made a full circle and came back to, hey, I respect family values and I want more than just out here dating and all that. That stuff gets old after a while, like I said, and we live in a vacuum, man. And like I said, when you start having children by, different men or different women, when somebody else comes into that situation, you're not just marrying that person. Now it's a package, and a lot of times I'm telling you, and this is like the biggest problem is like especially when women still have children at home, right? When the children are trying to be in a relationship, the parents pry into their relationship a lot of times and give them bad advice. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I wouldn't put up with that and this and that. Like, and really, just like with most of our moms, they're single and they're by themselves, and we feel obligated to be loyal to our mothers. because we don't want to be alone. And you know what I'm saying? And then they've been there for all of our lives. So we kind of, put our mom first sometimes. And that's not good. The mom should have her own situation, and she should not be poisoning the child's perception of the world. And I think that's one of the things that is a problem, because like I said, we live in a vacuum. And a lot of times, they're lonely and they don't want their kids to leave the house. There be people that be living to the crib today, like 40, whatever. And you know what I'm saying? I mean, come on now.
Is that like a personal situation? Because that sounds very specific. What you just brought up right there, Chuck. That sounds very personal. You're about the mom taking information from the mom and how that leads to it, because that sounds oddly specific.
No. Listen. Mm-hmm. Listen. I'm not going to deny that my mom has tried to, like, you know what I'm saying, she has her opinions on people that I've dated. Like I said, she could not stand my first wife, and it's no fact. They didn't like each other, and it's okay. But I didn't let that influence my decision. You know what I'm saying? She's seen some things that came out to be true later, but I didn't let that influence me. You know what I'm saying? If it was up to her, I wouldn't have got married to her. You know what I'm saying? But I still did, because I formed my own opinion. I'm my own man. I sometimes you got to check your mom. Like, Mom, look, I got it. Don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to do that. But if you just look at even situations, like I told you, if you watch these relationship shows where you see the kids trying to get married, like I told you, I've been watching that show. I'm still watching it, that 90 Day Fiance. You see the parents, like when the kids is getting married, they always prying into that. And not only that, all your family members, a lot of single family members are all in your business. You know what I'm saying? And when you put a relationship as priority over the family, then people got a problem with that, because things change, like the dynamics change. Now it's about me and my family and my wife, whereas before, you know what I'm saying, I was doing things, or they were doing things for the whole family. But now it's like, I got to build, my thing over here. And if you got people that don't want you to, it's like crabs in a barrel, man. Like it's crazy, man. Like people pry into your relationships, and family members do that as well.
Well, I think that takes away from what we used to, though, right? Your family used to vet your people. They used to look at your people and be like, nah, that's that. So essentially that's them being in your business. That was a part of the old way of how we used to do things. So now you're saying that that old way of being in your business is
no, but that's different. Now, back in the day, you had the mom and the dad. Now, if you just have
why do you think that Black people, by and large, a lot of us came from like 2-parent homes? Because Black people have been growing for a century.
No, listen, I'm saying back in the 60s, we're talking about grandparents and why it's different, right? Okay. Back in the day, when you did courtship and things like that, you would bring your man over, and he would meet the dad and the mom, the whole family. And, you would have to get their approval. But nowadays, if you're going through a mom that's single, that she's going to come from a single mentality. So there's certain things that she may not take that you might take in a marriage. Like, like certain things, like, a single woman might be like, oh, he talking to you like that? You better just leave him, or whatever the case may be. But in a marriage, then certain things go on. You argue sometimes and you work things out. You know what I'm saying? That's not a reason to have a deal breaker, because you get in, or you're petty nitpicking, trying to find a reason to not be in a relationship. And that's what a lot of times with the single mentality is. It's a completely different mentality. And I'm gonna just tell you another thing that I did this weekend. Mm-hmm. Me and my boy, who was an ex-street dude that's married, me and him are married, right? Mm-hmm. We went out to dinner with this guy that was single, right? Mm-hmm. And his mentality is completely different. Like, he was trying to holler at the waitresses. This dude was a savage, bro. Like, he out here on the street trying to get his. And you know what I'm saying? Me and him be chilling, but just to see that mentality, I'm like, damn, did I used to be like that? Like, probably. It's completely different. The conversation is different.
Y'all got older. You lost a little testosterone. Now you don't have that clogging your brain so much. Y'all, that's how y'all.
He was older than us. What you mean? He older than us.
Unfortunately, some of y'all just never grow. That's why family is falling apart. Y'all don't get smarter. Y'all don't grow up. And women got tired of shouldering. You said back in the 60s, Black people was married at 87%. I mean, just because they were married don't mean they were together. My grandparents were married. They weren't together. People also, you gotta look at that. But you gotta look at it. Listen, so I have other reasons why I say the relationships didn't marry. One of the things we bring up is marriage was by far. Everybody was married in the 1960s. And as you saw, there was an increase, an uptick of marriages in the 1970s, divorces in 1970s.
Divorces, right.
Mm-hmm. Right. So back then, people stayed married because they had to stay married. They didn't stay married because, necessarily just because of the family, but you couldn't afford to get a divorce because women couldn't afford credit cards. We couldn't get credit cards in our names. We couldn't get loans in our name. We couldn't get anything in our names. We were stuck. And then divorces were costly. They were expensive. Divorces were only granted to rich people who could afford them. And then on top of that, you couldn't just get a divorce for any reason. You had to show like a grave disservice. And then if you guys did not prove that grave disservice, no one could get a divorce. So it wasn't like people in the 60s were together for an altruistic view of, we got to stay together for the family. No, you were told to get married. That's what you do. You got married. You couldn't get a divorce. You were just there. That's why people people who, that's his wife, but they only see each other every now and then. And he had another girlfriend, or grandma and grandpa both have girlfriend and boyfriends on the side because they didn't want to get a divorce. They couldn't get a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have no money.
But see, this is the thing, though, Champagne. Listen, it's like, okay, what is marriage then? Like, you go in front of the whole church, right? In front of your family and friends and before God, and you pledge that you will be with this person till death do you part, right? Now, if you don't really mean that, then why even go through that to begin with anyway? Marriage is like when you with somebody, it should be forever. You know what I'm saying? So you should take your time before you jump the broom and make sure that you vetted that person before you make that step, because you're making this in front of God. You know what I'm saying? So
you're right. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, it's important that you do that. A lot of times we get married because we caught up on emotions. This guy looks good. This girl is fine. The D is nice. The sex is great. And that stuff, after a while, that goes away. I don't care how fine somebody is. If they get on your nerves, or if, you guys aren't compatible, it's not going to work. So you need to make sure before you make that step that you find that person that is really going to be there for you, and y'all going to ride out the storm. You know what I'm saying? And people aren't doing that no more. I'm telling you, when I went through my first divorce, and like I said, I was young and all that, whatever. She was older. Listen, and she was already divorced. When we went to divorce court, they was divorcing people quicker than McDonald's was giving out Happy Meals and stuff. It was just like, okay, such and such, it's Hammond versus such and such. Okay, okay, divorce, bam. Now I'm like, damn. It went down. It was like 30 people in there that got divorced in like an hour. I'm like, damn, they cleared us up out of there quickly. You know what I'm saying? So it's not even like, it doesn't even hold its value anymore. The only time, like I said, that's why people like, when you hear like rich people, talk about marriage and all that, they just, they get juice for their money because things are not real. You getting caught up on some, like I said, surface level stuff, man, with no substance. And that's why I think that's one of the big reasons why, things like that happen. Because like I said, back in the day, and plus I think, our grandparents married at a younger age too. Like a lot of these kids these days, their maturity level is like, what I'm saying? They don't even become mature until they in their late 20s. Tell the truth.
Correct.
They act like kids through their 20s. So
correct. Like,
they're not even like even mature enough until they get damn near into their 30s to get married. Back then, things were harder. You had to grow up faster. So you had to learn things, and you had to be there. You know what I'm saying? So things are different now. Things are different.
Yes. You are so right. And I'm glad you brought that up. The fact that a lot of women specifically were getting married, and we brought up Priscilla Presley and her 14. She's 14. Elvis is like what, 19, 20.
No, he was 10 years older than her.
Okay, so he's 24. So he already got the mental acuity over her already because she's a kid. Peyton talks about how his aunts were in their teens and their husbands were in their late 20s and 30s, just outliving marriages, which they did. My great grandmother, she got pregnant at the age of 13. Even before that, we're talking about 12 and 13. So you have older men who are in their 20s and 30s marrying these younger women. So they're like Yeah, they're grooming these women to be wives. So that's another thing. You have women who are also not getting married so young, and we're letting that mind build a little bit more, and we're being more selective, which I think that's good for everybody. If you're more selective, like you said, if we choose better in the beginning, if we get educated, and if we learn who we are, because how are you marrying somebody and you don't even know who you are? You don't know what you like at 20. You don't know who you are at 21. You don't really know who you are to like in your, like you said, your late 20s, your late 30s. So people were getting married early. And then that's why you have that big old divorce at 1970, because they're like, oh shit, I made this mistake. So today, I don't think it's necessarily that we're doing anything wrong. I don't even think that there's necessarily a war between men and women just online, because social media is like where a whole bunch of mid people get together to shit on other people.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at people in real life, like you, Chuck, you found somebody. Yeah, you ran into some knuckleheads. You were a knucklehead. You had stuff along the way, but it's a part of life that you're growing. So I don't know that necessarily Black people are failing at it. I think that we have to adjust just because we're on the behind. We were enslaved. We didn't really get freedom till 1800s. So we're trying to find our footing. We're trying to get our stuff together. We're trying to bring our men and women up. We're trying to give our kids better. And it's a whole different world. And it's also what you surround yourself. So I don't see a lot of unless I'm online, I don't see a lot of the men versus women hating stuff. I don't see that unless I'm online. And that's where all the little seedy people are online, just mad and just talking shit about us and Kevin Samuels and everything in the comments. That's where they're at, on the line. In real life, I never hear people who are well-adjusted, who have good personalities, who are good people. They have that amount of issues when it comes to relationships. They understand that, hey, everybody ain't for me, and that's cool. I think that's where we're getting to. I think people are growing up, and I think it's great for Black people to evolve, because there's some beautiful Black couples out here, and I've seen them, and they're smart. They're not necessarily well off, but they have the idea. Last story I'm gonna get you in. So I do my business by myself,
okay,
and it's a lot to do it by. Like, I have to do everything by myself, and it's tiring. And then this is the one time where I do get jealous about being single. I come across some of my Black friends who couples, and they both are on the same page of, hey, we're growing this business together. Hey, we're growing to get this money together. Hey, our kid is going to go to this private school. Hey, our kids, they're not going to be listening to this. They're not drinking that. They're making better choices. So our grandparents, they did what they needed to do, even though maybe our parents, their kids weren't the greatest. They gave what they needed to give so that we can be better. So that now your kids can see, okay, so keep it up, Black people. I like what you're doing.
Right. Hey, and listen, I'm just saying, like, and that's why I brought up like the movies and things like that, and the music, how it got into our heads and how it programs people. I mean, we went through the gangster rap era, drill music and things like that. I mean, these kids' minds it's just not in the same place.
Yeah.
It's just not, man. And then, like I said, like, as far as like when you talk about building and things like that, wouldn't it be sweet champagne if you could just find somebody that was like-minded like you?
Man,
that was your second stuff. How quick could you build your empire when you got somebody that's riding with you with the same mentality? And that's all that I'm saying. That's what marriage is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be two people with kindred spirits that have the same type of goals and will look out for each other and bounce the same energy to each other. That's all, that's all that I'm saying. And I just think, like I said, with me, I just wish more people could see that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just glad that it wasn't too late for me, that I got my mind right, because I might not have never seen that. And like I said, I was watching, different things, like, different things. And I'll see people that are couples and I'm like, damn, that's special. You could tell when somebody has their person, and that's what you need to find, is your person. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, it's hard out here. There's so many people that's lies and act like they're something that they're not. And I think that just brings up your defenses, and it just turns you, turns a lot of people bitter, man. And they just lose hope in finding that, And then like I said, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, baby. You on the road. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that there's just no exact science, man. Just sometimes, it has to be, where you might get lucky. You know what I'm saying? Like, but just don't tie yourself up with some bullshit, man. Don't be messing with some fuck niggas. You know what I'm saying? That's just gonna keep you hell off from finding the person that you're supposed to be with. And this is for guys too. Don't be keeping these women around that ain't nothing and you ain't going nowhere, because your queen might just pass by you. And if you still tied up with somebody else, then you're not going to be off to a fresh start. So I'm just saying, hey, that's what you got to do. Sometimes you got to just clean your closet, man, and just start living your life right, and just try to, find out what you're actually looking for.
Right. And I think we're moving towards that. We're finding more of what we need to, because I do feel like Black people, we make the least out of every race. We're more likely to go to jail out of every race. We're the least educated out of every race. We were playing catch up. And he said, I didn't know who I was or who he would have wanted to be until he was about 29, which checks. So you get married with people in their early 20s, right? And, people are very immature. And you got to also understand, like, a lot of our dating stuff comes from our grandparents. And some of our grandparents, even though they were married, they were bitter. Like, I know some of y'all got grandma or grandpa that cuss each other clean the smooth out. And that might work for them. That might be cute, but I don't nobody call me no bitch, and we in a relationship together. You
damn, they go that deep. I see. Damn,
man. There's some people that work, but they their thing was, we're going to stick together. We're going to make it work, and I applaud that. But that also taught bad behaviors to offspring, and it just creates dissension and discourse amongst us.
Because if you see your parents going through and they're not happy, then why would you want to go through that same path? And that might have been part of it too. Like, by grandparents not being happy, that wore down on the kids, and they didn't want to go through that same situation, so they avoided that. That could be part of the problem too. And like I said, it got to a point where, like I said, incomes are different now. Back then, there was men were in the labor force and worked factories a lot, use their back, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. Where now, you got more different opportunities, and people are more educated and things like that, so they can make money, without having to go to a factory. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably what's part of it. I think they stuck into it, and the kids seen the bitterness in the grandparents, and they didn't want to. But again, and also along with that, people's mentality just about what a family is changed as well. So I think those are things that are probably the biggest reasons why we are where we are now, and that grandparents are dinosaurs, and they don't, and you just don't find that much, only in the older couples now. You know what I'm saying? So I just hope we just do better, y'all. We will.
Okay. We here. We will do better. Go ahead, Chad.
Okay, y'all. So we're about at the end of our show. Do you got anything to add in or anything, y'all? Oh yeah, I keep meaning to show it, but remember, y'all, I still got, like I said, the Detroit Boys is gonna always be online. Check out me and Champagne. We made cameos in the movie, and check it out, and tell everybody about this channel. Subscribe, please, and just share it with everybody, because we just trying to grow it. We're gonna keep on talking about different subjects. We need your input. Make sure you guys comment or whatever. Let us know, inboxes, if you got titles that you want to talk about, so we can get into it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us today. If you're following me on my true crime page, check me out at 8:30. We'll do True Crime Live. We're going to watch something saucy, maybe a little bit disturbing. Who knows? What you got coming up this week on the channel, Chuck?
Okay, y'all. Like I said, we just gonna keep on. Just come to the channel. I don't have nothing big right now. I'm in the middle of making some moves, so just stay tuned to the channel and you'll see. But we'll see y'all next week. Go ahead.
I love the work you've been doing with the shorts. Y'all gotta watch his shorts. Like, this guy, he knows what he is, a marketing genius. If anyone knows how to market, Chuck knows how to market.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, y'all. We will see y'all next week. Same place, same time. Let your people know. Y'all have a great rest of the evening. Peace.
Thank you. Bye.